What is up, loaders, coders, and depressive episoders? Thanks for sitting down at the messy desk with me this week. Today, I don't know, man. Kind of feel like wearing my heart on my sleeve a little bit. I'm wearing a shirt from Walmart with a Disney character on it. I have a dog behind me in jail. I don't feel great on multiple levels. And I just thought, to hell with the persona, to hell with feel-good content. I'm going to let you know that me, your father, is having some trouble. But is there any point in this for you? You might be asking. Is there anything I get out of this other than pure exhibitionism and a little bit of indulging in the thank God I'm not that guy experience? Maybe, hopefully. I don't know, man. I have been struggling recently to come up with anything musically interesting, anything that really gets me going or feels like it is worth pursuing. And I know enough in my experience to know that this is a temporary thing and I will overcome it and I will make good music and I will make music at least that I enjoy and want to finish. But right now it's all a big stinking hunk of doo-doo and it makes my heart feel bad. Worse than it usually does, by the way. I got a couple heart conditions, so I'm used to my heart feeling not 100%, but not quite as stepped on as it does most of the time these days. So tonight I sat down and I said, you know what? I'm not going to put any pressure on myself. I'm probably going to make nothing I care about, but let's just try to do something different because we've tried to do our normal thing and it's not worked out exactly. So what did I do? What did I do that was different? What did I do that might be interesting? What can I tell you to distract from the big, fat, depressive mess that sits before you? Let's talk about it. The first thing is that I finally made use of a really cool program called OctaChainer. People have been asking me about this a ton and bugging me about it. And I think it's because I have a weird aversion to doing any sort of prep work for the Octatrack. I mean, we know I'm lazy and fat, so I don't want to do any kind of work at all ever. But especially work that has to do with setting stuff up on the computer to do on here. I don't know why. I'm not even that attached to staying in hardware. We know this. But anyway, for whatever reason, I've been very averse to doing this, but I finally have. And what OctaChainer does is you can load a bunch of one-shot samples into it, and it'll generate a waveform for you, along with an Octatrack file with slices preloaded to those individual one-shot samples that you've loaded. And so you could take a bunch of nylon guitar samples, as I did, from splice.com. Shout out Splice, sponsor me now or forever hold your peace. And it'll just pre-generate a bunch of slices for you. So I loaded, bring up my slices here. I loaded 32 different slices of stuff. And it's really convenient. And it's something I want to do more of, especially I think what I want to do is record a bunch of chords, like more fancy chords from my Peak and my Analog 4 and my Digatone, make a bunch of chord samples and have a bunch of chord chains. This is not an original idea. Barker has a little thing on his website about doing exactly this. You can actually download some of the files. It's really useful and kind of what got me started. But it's something that I think will kind of bridge the gap for me a little bit between wanting to use the Octatrack standalone, but feeling a little, I don't know, like I'm missing something. Like having these chords, I think will be useful. So that's kind of what I built this little jam around, is these chord samples. Nothing fancy, but just really effective kind of lo-fi. They're really great samples. And as you can see, I'm making use of the Neighbor machine here. I wanted a filter and reverb, but also I wanted to use chorus because I really wanted to give it that sort of lo-fi, warbly, make you want to study type feel. And so I finally decided, hey, whatever, let's just use a Neighbor machine and do that. So I used a chorus and then a little bit of lo-fi just to kind of seal the cheesy deal on it. And I think it sounds quite nice. Other than that, really not doing anything fancy. I have one trigger, not that one. This one, where I've pitched it up an octave, and it's just a kind of transitional trigger just to make things a little more interesting. It's okay. I don't know. I'm not married to it. Other than that, I have this little rhythmic loop here, somewhere, here. Loops for when you aren't talented, but want to feel kind of talented. Very useful. Kind of just set a rhythm and a mood. And then I just loaded this little kick, really simple. I'm probably problematically addicted to that kick pattern of boom, pat, boom, boom, pat. It's so much so that I think it might be the only kick pattern I know, and I really need to push myself out of it. But again, tonight I was just like, fuck it, man. Let's just have no pressure, no worries. Just try to make something that makes you smile a little bit, because, you know, we need this, you and I. You know, depression, who can relate? And yeah, the last thing I did was the bass, which is always a mistake, because as I've mentioned before, the Octatrack can be really mean in terms of detuning samples, especially when you pitch them down, which I did. So the bass is not perfectly in tune, but I just decided I wasn't going to care. I was just going to do it and go about my day. And it sounds okay. I use some of the filter distortion here, which I talk about in my Octatrack menus video that you should watch if you feel like there's too many menus in this gosh dang thing and you just want to make music. Watch a 20-minute video on the menus on this thing, further preventing you from making music. But hey, at least you're engaging with content and me, your friend, a real person, and not just a face on a screen. I talk about the distortion and how you should use that because it sounds better than the lo-fi distortion, a little cleaner, still not great, but cleaner. And then I have a little bit of lo-fi for sample reduction because it's the only thing I know how to do, and I love it so much. And it sounds like this with everything. The only thing going on here that's particularly of note is I have these little triggers that happen every second time around. Every time was a little grating, a little annoying. We've gone over this many times on this channel. And yeah, it's just kind of simple stuff. And then I added some rain because you got to have any sort of field sample. I didn't have any of like people in a coffee shop or like kids talking about how they're going to fail their test or anything like that. So instead we just have rain. Everybody loves a little rain. What else? The last thing I think of note that I put in this is this vocal sample from an Igloo Ghost sample pack, which is the first sample pack I ever downloaded, actually. Fun fact. That's your Octadad fun fact of the week. You only get one, so make it count. And it sounds like this. Yeah, it's babby or baby or whatever, just spitting gibberish, I think. But it's meant to be played at 140. This is a 75 BPM track. So when I played it, it has this deliciously disgusting artifacting in it because the Octatrack's time stretching is not great on a good day. And today, as I've mentioned, isn't a good day. So it's especially bad, but I like it. I kind of just leaned into it, sits far back in the mix a little bit. And it just has this really nice, let me turn off the bass and the percussion here so you can hear it a little more clearly. Kind of just sits back in the mix and I don't know, gives it a certain something. I don't know. I enjoy it. Yeah, hell yeah. Little hot tip about this loop. If you want to use a loop and it doesn't fit timing-wise perfectly, but you're a lazy sack of shit and you don't want to slice the loop, just put the trigger down again in other places. And it won't sound like you've sliced it. It won't be as cool if you did slice it, but it will be different. And you will feel proud of yourself for having done something. And congrats for getting out of bed today. Yeah, here's my tip. I didn't want to slice this loop because I didn't want to do any work tonight. And I actually enjoy it, not just because I didn't have to do any work, but because it has this nice kind of, I don't know, driving, repetitive feel that kind of pushes the beat forward a little bit. I don't really know how to describe it, but you kind of get it. It has this hooky feel, I guess. Hooky would be the word I would use. And it's nice. And again, that artifacting is just disgusting. Just listen to it. Just listen to it and revel in the dirt. That poor boy getting pulled apart. Yeah. Nothing fancy going on with the crossfader at all. Just some low pass, band pass, high pass shit. Again, I'm not doing anything fancy tonight. That's kind of it. I feel, if I'm being honest with you, viewer, that this was nice. And I'm glad I did it. And I think I need to do it more. I've talked about in my gas video, which you can watch here, or just don't and listen to me talk to you right now, that being an artist and making music or art of any kind is a battle of inches. And if you don't fight that battle, you're never going to get anywhere. And I feel like this is something I want to talk about more and definitely will in a future video, probably with Octamom. There's a tendency to not want to try when this happens, when you get stuck in a block like this, because it feels really bad. It feels really, really bad no matter how long you've been doing it. But if you think of it like a numbers game, like I just have to make 20 bad things and maybe the 21st will be okay. If you stop trying to make bad things, if you stop trying to make things, then you'll never get to that 21st thing. So you just kind of have to, you know, like your dad probably told you when you were a kid, dust yourself off, walk it off, and play through the pain. Because tonight I did this thing and I enjoyed myself. I need to do it more and I need to take this pressure off my shoulders because ultimately perspective is important. What am I trying to create for, if not to make myself happy? Not trying to get rich doing this, not trying to get famous, really. So ultimately I should just be trying to make myself happy. And if I'm not happy, then I need to reevaluate what I'm doing. And so this video was kind of an attempt at that. So this is kind of a larky, weird video with a darker tone than the rest of my stuff, but I hope it comes across as honest and maybe hashtag relatable, and you can reblog it on your Tumblr and share it with all your friends and say, look, he's just like me. He eats waffles, sits on the toilet too long, and cries sometimes. He cries a lot, I bet. You'd be right. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for me this week. Hope you're doing well. Hope your Monday's going all right. I will be here next week, maybe with Octamom, to finally film this video that we've been planning on doing. But we'll just have to see. Life is crazy, really unpredictable. You think you're going one way, you find yourself sitting in a shitty IKEA chair wearing a Stitch shirt talking to a camera. You know, who's to say what's going to happen from one moment to the next? The world is unpredictable chaos evermore. But I'll tell you what you can rely on. Me. And who am I? Well, I'm Daniel. This is The Messy Desk, and I love you more than I love being uncomfortably honest with my YouTube audience. I'll see you next week. Peace.